evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, a convicted child murderer sentenced to death. The Prime Minister says hundreds of jobs are on the horizon, plus the police force being equipped with new cars to fight crime. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige McCartney, and MB12 starts right now. Convicted murderer and pedophile Kofhe Goodman has been sentenced to death. Justice Bernard Turner gave his ruling this afternoon. Our Jasmine Bonamy was at court and got the emotional reaction from the family of Marco Archer. Here's her report.
The death sentence was handed down nearly 30 minutes into the sentencing hearing when Justice Bernard Turner revealed that he believed the case met the worst of the worst requirements set out by the Privy Council. In his ruling, Turner said he is satisfied such a penalty should be imposed because this case is a clear and compelling one for a sentence of death. Goodman, who is a father of two, was convicted more than 2 months ago of the murder of the 11-year-old. Turner also said based on Goodman's past criminal history, there is no reasonable expectation he can be reformed. Turner also added that at the age of 38, Goodman was no longer a young man and had spent a significant portion of his life in prison. He said he also took into consideration Goodman's past criminal history that escalated from a sexual assault to attempted murder to murder, in cases all involving boys around Archer's age. During today's sentencing hearing, Goodman showed no outward reaction as he sat leaning back with his hand rubbing his chin. As Justice Turner signed the ruling, Goodman stood with his hands clasped behind his back and staring forward. Outside court, Marco's mother, Trifemia Meadows, said while the family is pleased with the death sentence, it does little to heal the pain of losing her son.
It was a pretty long trial because every time I come here, every time I have to come to court, it bring up the same old story again, so I thank God to know that it's over with. I feel good for that, but then it can't bring Marco back. But then I feel good to know that the man who do it to Marco, he behind bars for the rest of his life. For death penalty for the rest of his life. He wouldn't be on the street no more to hurt no other little boys in the Bahamas. To God be the glory.
Prosecutor Garvin Gaskin embraced Archer's family outside court. He told reporters he believed the Attorney General's legal team proved their case and the conviction and sentence would be upheld on appeal.
We believe the judge was thorough with his reasoning, and on that basis, we believe that the sentence can be sustained.
Meantime, Goodman's attorney Jeffrey Farquharson said his client is not happy with the trial's outcome. Outside court, he revealed some of the grounds he's basing that appeal on.
Goodman is very upset. He knows he didn't do this offense, and he knows that things are being said about him and what has happened in this case that are completely false. Mr. Goodman is no saint, but the system of justice wasn't made for saints. It is in how we deal with persons who are not saints that tell us whether we have a sound justice system or not. The evidence did not exist in this case to support a conviction.
Farquharson indicated after court that he plans to file that appeal immediately. He has 3 weeks to do so. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Well, Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson said justice was served today. She said the Christie administration is committed to the execution of justice and fighting delays in court cases. The Attorney General has committed to have 10 criminal courts functioning by January to help break that backlog and said they intend to try people within 12 to 18 months.
That we will be conducting 10 courts at the same time. We expect that the result of that will be that routinely serious matters will be brought on to trial within the constitutionally mandated reasonable period of time. And we expect that it will be 12 months. We hope it's for sure it'll be no longer than 18 months.
Well, Director of Public Prosecutions Finette Graham-Allen said it is important to the administration of justice that 2 men were sentenced to death in a matter of weeks.
It's not important to the office, it is important to the administration of justice. As the Honorable AG has said, I would like to look at it in the larger context than just our office. We are here to serve the public and to ensure that the rule of law prevails in this country.
On October 10th, convicted hitman Anthony Clark Sr. was sentenced to death for the 2011 murder of Elias Tillis. While there are a number of men still on death row, the Attorney General confirmed that Goodman and Clark are the only 2 men on death row not awaiting resentencing. Meanwhile, contempt proceedings against Farquharson are set to begin on November 26th. Justice Bernard Turner cited the attorney for contempt of court during the Goodman trial. On July 18th, Farquharson raised his voice as he demanded Turner exercise his power to have family members of Marco Archer removed from the precincts of the court. The attorney claimed Archer's family had threatened Goodman's relatives outside the court, causing them to leave. Today, Farquharson said he welcomes the proceedings.
I'm pleased about it because it gives me an opportunity to do some things which I had been hard-pressed to find a means to initiate.
Well, following the release of new labor statistics, which show a 16.2% unemployment rate, Prime Minister Perry Christie spoke of a promising future in job creation while in San Salvador to announce a multi-million-dollar resort expansion project. He said that project is just one of several more job creation opportunities taking place around the country, and there is every reason for Bahamians to have a positive outlook. Dana Smith reports.
Despite the unemployment rate standing at the highest it's been in a decade, the Prime Minister said the newly released labor statistics are encouraging because it shows a decrease in discouraged workers, more Bahamians looking for jobs and ready to take on new opportunities.
And I want them to know that even when the unemployment statistics, which from our point of view is encouraging because a significant number of the discouraged workers have now joined the ranks of those who believe they could get a job. That's how they've changed it. And they are right, because as the Deputy Prime Minister indicated, whether in Bimini, whether in Freeport, at least no later than January 10th, where 1,000 jobs will be created, whether in Eleuthera, whether in Abaco, whether in Exuma, we have every indication that things are happening.
Christie also named several current negotiations taking place in New Providence, including the Hilton Hotel, South Ocean property, and Mahogany Hill. He said he is optimistic those negotiations represent a turning point in the economy.
I am encouraged that we have turned the corner and that there is every reason for a positive outlook.
The latest example, he said, is the Club Med expansion in San Salvador. Noting the project is set to create hundreds of jobs on that island, Christie called on the Bahamian people to have confidence in their future and their government, despite any disappointments they may have.
As for today's event, it marks yet another major initiative and advance in my government's commitment to the Bahamian people to expand the economy, create sustainable jobs, to create employment and entrepreneurial opportunities. We are doing this in Bimini and Grand Bahama, in New Providence, in Eleuthera and Exuma, and now in the southeastern Bahamas and San Salvador. We want the Bahamian people to have confidence in their future and to know that whatever you may think and whatever disappointment you may have at this time, that there is a government who is working hard, who understands what time it is, who understands how we got where we got, and what we have to do as a result of getting there. And this is just another example of our knowledge and understanding of that.
Government officials say investments in tourism are an important part of the government's strategy to get Bahamians back to work. Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Stick with us when NB12 returns. Another prominent businessman steps forward in criticism of that. But first, the police force to soon be equipped with new police cars. We'll tell you more about those and other stories when NB12 comes back.